Remember, remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. Happy Bonfire Night, everybody. Or it should be, if I release this on time, if I've edited it in the correct time frame, you should be watching this, more or less, Bonfire Night. And I'm filming this on Mischief Night, the 4th of November. Anybody remember Mischief Night? It seems to be a long lost thing nowadays. Nobody seems to do it. I'm actually spilling my drink here. But yeah, as kids, on the 4th of November, we would go around doing knock-a-door run, throwing mud at people's windows, tying cotton across the street for cars to drive through. Not that it really affected anything, but it was Mischief Night, so you did mischievous things. Back in my day, it was light-hearted mischief. It wasn't. We were not serious. I know I've heard many people say, "Oh, we used to put dog poo in toilet roll, put it on the doorstep, set fire to it, knock at the door, and then run, and then the house owner come out, stamp it out, and then end up with shit on the shoes." Yeah, it never got that extreme for us. And me and my mates, knock a door run, what as extreme as it got. We never got caught. Back then, I could run. Nowadays, I don't do any running. I just sit and drink. Well, I don't drink that much. Anyway, for any rum aficionados, I've got a lovely rum here. It's very strong. It's a rum called Lugger. I had 2 little bottles. This one is the golden rum. The other bottle was the dark spice rum. We got these from Bolsover Castle. Me and Joe had a ride to Bolsover Castle, which is around Chesterfield area, last week, or just over a week ago. And they had some bottles of that Lugger rum, and they just had these 2 little bottles in this box, just I suppose as a sample, really. And they're nice. So yeah, if anybody's wanting a good recommendation, Lugger rum. I've got cherry coke with this actually, to give it a bit of a different vibe. It's nice. So what have I got this time? Well, I've got 3 Commodore 64 games, 4 sorry, and I've got a PS5 game. Shall we start with the PS5 game, which is called, got a bit of rum on it, it's Park Beyond. Park Beyond. I was going to say Park and Beyond, but it's not. It's Park Beyond. And it was Eddie that actually recommended this in Big Al's WhatsApp group. I think it was 1999. It comes with 2 for 1 on Fort Park tickets, which me and Eddie are going to take advantage of next year. Well, we are, but there's a dilemma, isn't there? See, I'm collecting PS5 sealed games. This is sealed, but the tickets are inside, so I don't know, Eddie. What do we do? Do we unseal it and then glue it back together, or what? I do actually want to play this. I always say that about any game, don't I? And I never do, but I do. I really do. I've always loved Roller Coaster Tycoon. Obviously, I loved I suppose the first ever theme park game, which was Theme Park, on the Amiga, and I did love that. It was more, I suppose, more cutesy and not silly as such, but you know what I mean. It wasn't as realistic as your Roller Coaster Tycoon. Your Roller Coaster Tycoon were a bit more serious. You could actually, I know a lot of people back in when, you know, especially Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and 3, people were actually recreating real theme parks using Roller Coaster Tycoon. So, you know, and I used to, I'm not wasted. I've spent many hours on the Roller Coaster Tycoon games. I do remember once I was creating my own theme park, just a fantasy theme park, and I'd done a lot on it, and I'm really happy with it. I can't remember what happened to it, but it's one of those things where I wish I could, you know, bring it back and carry on finishing it off. But obviously, it's long gone. Park Beyond is, you know, it is a Roller Coaster Tycoon type of game, but I think this edges towards more fantasy, as in you can build roller coasters with gaps. You know, if you go over a ramp and then there's a gap and it lands on the other side. You know, that's never going to happen in real life. And there's tunnels and stuff again. There's other stuff, but I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, it's a bit silly. Exaggerated, which I don't really mind, because you can still create just normal roller coasters and rides, theme them, build your paths, and people walk around as they're doing any other Roller Coaster Tycoon game, and I suppose they spend more money on certain things. Remember when at theme park that you had to put more salt on your chips to make people thirsty, so they'd buy more drinks, and then you'd put more ice in your drinks because it was cheaper, and then they'd buy another drink because they're still thirsty and stuff like that. I don't know if that goes in depth like that, or if it's just about mainly the rides and not so much the workings of the theme park. I don't know, but yeah, we're gonna get this open, Eddie. We're gonna get those tickets out, and I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna try and build my own little park. Maybe I could recreate that park that I did make on Roller Coaster Tycoon, but more up to date and nicer looking, maybe. Let's move on to Commodore 64. I've got some beauties here. We've got One Rabbit Software. All these are, they're part of subsets. I'll save I would say best for last, which you'll find out when I get to it. Well, to start with, we've got Galleons. This is Rabbit Software. Mark Judge Rock, he's got me onto collecting the Rabbit set. Some of the titles do have cover variants. I'm going to go for those. I think a true full set of the Rabbit Software would be the cover variants. Don't think there's too many hard to find titles on the Rabbit line. I'm sure I've seen most of them. Anyway, Galleons. Now then, is it this one? No, not yet. I'll come to it. Basically, Galleons is a ship galleon simulator. I think there's a lot of trading and stuff like that. It's certainly not an arcadey type of game. The cassette is on white cassette printed. But I've never played it, but I have done my bit of research and looked at the game on YouTube, and like I say, it does look more like a simulation kind of thing, a galleon simulation. I'm assuming there could be a bit of fighting involved, ship to ship fighting. The only really ship simulation game I've ever really liked was on the Amiga, and it was called Ports of Call. Kind again, it was trading, but it was more like, you know, container ships and stuff like that. It sounds really boring, but by crikey, but I addicted to it. Just so good. There were elements where you had to, rather than just type stuff, you know, and click on icons to trade. When your ship were coming into port, you did have to steer it safely into port. You know, exciting. But it really was. I spent hours on it, absolute hours. But yeah, that's Galleons on Rabbit Software label. We have got next, I ain't got many of these. This is a Zeppelin game, and this is Spaghetti Western. Again, this is not something I've ever played, but I have looked on YouTube. I suppose it's a run and gun, I suppose, or more like a walk and gun. But weirdly, the enemies seem to appear in the doorways and the windows of the background buildings. But they seem to slide into view and slide out of view as almost like they're made out of cardboard. And I wondered if it does say simulator, Spaghetti Western, and then simulator at the bottom. So I am wondering if this game is based on like a movie lot, you know, and from the Spaghetti Westerns. Speaking of Spaghetti Westerns, I am an absolute lover of Spaghetti Westerns, particularly the Good, the Bad and the Ugly trilogy. A Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More. The director now, Sergio Leone, I think it was. Absolutely brilliant films, love them. Very atmospheric. I've got the trilogy, and I did actually go. Some of you will know. Was it last year? It might have been last year. I did actually go to see an Ennio Morricone tribute concert. Ennio passed away. That might have been last year or the year before. He was the composer for the soundtracks for the Spaghetti Western movies. Absolutely brilliant. One of the best. Well, with an orchestra, it was incredible. Me and Lorraine went down. Originally, Lorraine wasn't going to come in with me because, you know, she says, well, it's not really my thing. But she did. We ended, you know, last minute decision. She says, you know, I'll come with. We managed to find a seat. It was amazing. It really was. You know, I've seen a few bands, Stranglers, Paul and Jackie Abbott, ELO. Oh, don't get me wrong, in their own right, brilliant. That Ennio Morricone tribute concert, which was what's that thing? Conducted. So we're going to say, what's that thing with Baton? Conducted by his son. So yeah, it was brilliant. Anyway, I'm digressing, and we're going back to Spaghetti Western by Zeppelin Games. Like I say, I ain't got many of the Zeppelin titles. I haven't really kicked that subset off, but I got this because I follow a guy on eBay, High Evolutionary. His name's Matt, and he's an excellent seller. He always gets Commodore games. I think he really only deals with Commodore 64 games, but he does get some belts. I don't know where he gets them from. The thing is, he always puts, well, for me he does anyway, I don't know if he does it for everybody, he always puts them in new cases. These are brand new cases. And he's a really, like I say, he's a really good seller. He always communicates, tells me, you know, when I buy something, right, it'll be in the post tomorrow or whenever. It's top notch. It's top notch. So that's Spaghetti Western. Next we move on to another game from Matt, High Evolutionary, again in a brand new case. This is Little Computer People by Mastertronics, or one of Mastertronics' subset labels, Ricochet. These might have retailed at, it says on there, $2.99. Little Computer People is a re-release, and God blimey, I do remember playing this. You've got this little house. I'll try and get the camera to focus. You've got this little house, it's only static one screen, and you've got this little guy, little person, who you basically nurture. You control him. You say control him. It's like The Sims, really. You can do things around the house. You can play the piano. You can pet the dog. You can watch TV. You have to answer the door. It's, for its time, this was one of the not very early releases, but for its time, back in we're talking 80s, it was somewhat else. And like I say, it's very Sims-esque. It's it's a precursor to the Sims. You're only controlling one person, obviously, and trying to keep him alive, keep him entertained. But brilliant. I'm trying to think who originally released Little Computer People. I can see the cover, which were different to that. I can't remember. And then finally, let me have a drink first. Lugger rum. Finally. It's weird how things happen. As in fate. It must be fate. In my last video, I think I may have mentioned, either the last video or one before, I think it was the last one. I think I mentioned, how such as my alternative software subset has slowed down because I'm just finding it so hard to come across certain games. And I did mention one game from that set, which, I said never came up. A day or two later, it came up. It's Rick the Roadie. Yeah, you can get this on the BBC Acorn Electron, not a problem. Pretty much every time I've typed in Rick the Roadie in eBay search, it's come up with the BBC micro version. It does need a new case. It's cracked. It's cracked there. There's a bit of sticker residue, but I will be swapping it out, the case. But yeah, it turned up. It cost me, I won't lie, it cost me £50. It's a lot of money. It is a lot of money for, it's basically one of the worst games you can find on the Commodore 64. I paid it because I really need it for my collection. I'm a collector. I've said it before, I'm a collector, not so much a games player. And this was a necessity. I had to have it. And it was meant to be. Like I say, I'd mentioned it. It came up, and I bought it. Luckily, it was a buy it now, and yeah, I've just paid it. And I even joked with TMB lads. They could have put £100 or whatever it was. Could have put £100 in it. I'd have probably paid it. I can't let these last few slip through my fingers. And I've got a little thing to tell you as well. In the last 3 months, joining us guys in security where I work, we've now got receptionists. One on days, one on afternoons, only part-time. And one of them used to work at Alternative Software. And she is really good friends still with Roger Hulley, who was the owner of Alternative Software. I don't know if Roger still owns Alternative, They do make games apparently, rugby games, for the new systems, for the modern systems, but I don't know if he's still part of the company that you know, an owner of that company. And she, bless her, she has said, let me know what games you're missing. She said, I'll try and get hold of them. How cool would that be? Is it cheating? It's probably cheating, but I don't care. If he's somehow got access to old Commodore games, you never know. You never know. He might still have a lot of stock, for whatever reason. But yeah, can you imagine finishing off the alternative range, the last few that I need, from the owner of alternative stuff? Wow, what a story that'd be. But yeah, Rick the Roadie is absolute rubbish. The first section, the game lasts probably not even 10 minutes playthrough. The first section is the driving section. The car is half the size of the screen and it scrolls very fast with a lot of other cars or other traffic. It's just ridiculously hard to get through. The playthrough I saw, at one point he couldn't even get past. There were just so many cars on the road he couldn't get past them, and I don't know if that, because I did quite skip through it a little bit, I must admit, but I don't know if he had to, you know, if it's a bug. It could be a bug in the game, but anyway, it was hard as nails. The second section I couldn't honestly make a detail of. You're walking from left to right, carrying a box of some kind for whatever reason, I don't know. And then the last, there's only 3 sections. The last section is something to do with the graphic equalizer, and you've got to match the graph, and then you completed the game. It is dire. It looks terrible. Probably looks better on screenshots than it does justice, really, because yeah, it's bad. In fact, one video did, you know, it said its title was, "Is this the worst game ever?" It could well be. But yeah, Rick the Roadie in the usual alternative blue and yellow, you know, colours. So I'm happy to have that. I'm very happy to have that, because that is one of the rare games from alternative to get hold of. We've got Suburban Commando, which is, I think it's some kind of Hulk Hogan game. We've got the Ginormous Collection, just compilation, Popeye Collection, Postman Pack Collection. We have got Foremost Super Sports, I think it is. I've got the World Sports, I think. Foremost Super Sports. That is the last in the Foremost. I suppose that's a subset within a subset. And there is, I'm sure there's a triple decker. I mentioned it in the last video. I'm sure there's a triple decker that I'm missing. I can't remember what number. But that is it. I have got a couple more games on order from Resurrection Games, some more Dreamcast reproduction games, homebrew I should say, sorry. I'll show them in the next video, but they are, I'll just tell you now anyway. Simon the Sorcerer 1, Simon the Sorcerer 2, Neo Drift Rally. It's a Neo Geo game. It's a rally game, but it's like top-down, isometric-ish view, and I do like that game. I have mentioned it in another video, but I couldn't remember the name of it. I think it's Neo Drift Rally. So yeah, I've got them 3 coming for me Dreamcast homebrew collection. So I'm looking forward to getting them, but I'll show you them in the next video. I've also got something else. I don't really want to show it in case, basically I saw this item and I wanted it, and I knew that James Retro Import Gamer would like one as well, so I ordered 2. But yeah, I'll let him show it first, and then I'll show you mine. But it's a good little item. It's nothing much, but they're just quirky. But anyway, that is it. Again, happy Bonfire Night 2023. What could be next one? Christmas. Oh, Christmas. The time of year when proper Christmas films should be played, such as Santa Claus, The Polar Express, not Die Hard. See you later.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.